Hello, dear reader. Welcome to a journey that might just change the way you approach speaking English. Whether you are someone who has studied English for years but freezes at the thought of speaking, or someone who knows just a little but dreams of chatting confidently with people around the world, this story is for you. Over the next 10 chapters, we will follow the experiences of a young learner named Emma, who, like many of us, struggles to bridge the gap between knowing English in theory and actually using it in real-life conversations. In this narrative, you will not only witness Emma's challenges, successes, and small victories but also learn practical techniques to boost your own confidence in English conversations. You will explore scenarios ranging from casual coffee shop chats to professional networking, and even travel experiences, all while seeing the mindset shifts that make real communication possible. By the end, the story will give you not just inspiration but actionable insights to start speaking English with confidence and ease. We will see Emma face her fears, make mistakes, and discover that each conversation is a learning opportunity, not a test. You will learn about the power of preparation, the art of listening, the courage to make mistakes, and the subtle tricks that help words flow naturally. Most importantly, you will discover how confidence in speaking English grows not overnight but step by step, conversation by conversation. So, get ready to join Emma on her journey, feel her nerves, celebrate her triumphs, and most importantly, pick up strategies that you can use yourself. This is more than just a story, it's a roadmap for anyone who wants to turn their English knowledge into real, confident, and meaningful conversations. In the next chapter, we will begin at the very first moment Emma decided to step out of her comfort zone, entering a small, bustling cafe in her city to practice speaking with strangers. This seemingly ordinary day will set the stage for a series of challenges, discoveries, and inspiring lessons about learning English in the real world. So, grab a cup of tea or coffee, find a comfortable spot, and let's step into Emma's world, where every conversation is a chance to grow. Emma's heart raced as she walked into the small, sunlit cafe near her apartment. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, mingling with the soft chatter of patrons and the clinking of cups. She had rehearsed this moment countless times in her head, ordering a drink in English, making small talk with the barista, and not freezing halfway through. Yet, standing at the entrance, the nerves threatened to take over. She reminded herself why she was here. Emma had been studying English for nearly 5 years. She knew grammar rules, could write essays, and even read novels without much trouble. But speaking, real, spontaneous conversation, was a different world entirely. For years she had avoided it, hiding behind textbooks, language apps, and online exercises. Today, she had decided that avoidance was no longer an option. Today, she would speak English to a real person. Taking a deep breath, Emma approached the counter. The barista, a friendly young woman with a warm smile, greeted her in English. "Hi! What can I get for you today?" Emma's mind went blank for a split second. She had practiced this line so many times, but the live interaction made it feel unpredictable. Her throat tightened, and she could feel her palms starting to sweat. Then she remembered a technique she had read about: slow down, breathe, and speak one sentence at a time. "Hi. I would like a medium latte, please," she said, her voice trembling slightly but understandable. "Sure. Would you like any flavor syrup with that?" the barista asked, still smiling. Emma paused for a moment. This was the challenge she had feared, follow-up questions. But instead of panicking, she took another deep breath. "Yes, vanilla, please." The barista nodded, confirming the order. "Great! And your name?" Emma hesitated, realizing that introducing herself was a tiny conversation in itself. "Emma, my name is Emma," she said with a shy smile. As she stepped aside to wait for her drink, she felt a small rush of pride. That interaction, short and simple, had been real. She had spoken English, been understood, and responded appropriately. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough to feel like a step forward. While waiting, she observed the other patrons. A group of students at a nearby table were laughing and chatting in English. Emma wondered what it would feel like to join such conversations. Could she ever feel that confident? She remembered something her English teacher once told her. Confidence doesn't come from knowing everything, it comes from taking action despite not knowing everything. Her latte arrived, and with it, a little note on the cup. Great job, Emma! It was a small gesture from the barista, but it felt like a personal cheer. Emma sipped her coffee, letting herself savor the moment. This was more than just a drink, it was proof that she could communicate, that English was not just a subject to study but a living language she could use. Emma realized something important during that short cafe visit. Perfection was not the goal, connection was. Speaking English wasn't about flawless grammar or accent, it was about sharing your thoughts, even if imperfectly, and listening actively to others. Each small conversation would build confidence, brick by brick. By the time she left the cafe, Emma was already planning her next conversation. Perhaps a brief chat with the cashier at the local bookstore, or asking for directions in English on her way home. Each interaction, she knew, would be another step in turning knowledge into real-life skills. Emma's first experience taught her a crucial lesson: fear and excitement often go hand in hand, and taking that first step is always the hardest but most rewarding. She left the cafe with a smile, her mind buzzing with possibilities, ready to embrace the world of real English conversations. A few days after her cafe triumph, Emma found herself standing nervously outside a local English-speaking book club. She had discovered the group online, a small, friendly community of people who met weekly to discuss novels, share thoughts, and practice conversational English. For Emma, this was a perfect next step. But as she approached the door, a wave of anxiety swept over her. She paused for a moment, remembering the cafe. That small victory had taught her that speaking English, even imperfectly, was possible. She reminded herself that the goal was connection, not perfection. Taking a deep breath, she pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room was warm and inviting, filled with people chatting and laughing. Some were sipping tea, others were browsing the books on the shelves lining the walls. Emma's heart raced as she scanned the room. How would she join a conversation? What if she said something wrong? What if no one understood her? A woman with a bright smile noticed her hesitation. "Hi. Are you Emma?" she asked in a friendly tone. Emma nodded, her voice a little shaky. "Yes, hi, I'm Emma. I'm Sarah. Welcome. We're just getting started. Would you like to join us?" Emma smiled, grateful for the warm welcome. She took a seat and tried to calm her racing thoughts. The discussion began, and the group started talking about the novel they had read that week. The words flowed quickly, and Emma realized she had to listen carefully and pick the right moment to speak. At first, she stayed quiet, nodding and smiling, absorbing the rhythm of conversation. Then, as the group discussed the character's motivation, she felt a familiar pang of hesitation. Should she contribute? What if she stumbled over her words? Remembering her mantra, one sentence at a time, she took a deep breath and spoke. I think the main character made a mistake because he was afraid of being honest." The group paused briefly, then nodded encouragingly. "That's a good point, Emma," Sarah said. "Can you tell us more about why you think he was afraid?" Emma's confidence grew slightly. She explained her thoughts, pausing when necessary, and using gestures to clarify her meaning. By the end of her turn, she felt a small thrill of accomplishment. She had shared her opinion, been understood, and even sparked further discussion. As the meeting continued, Emma noticed something important: everyone made mistakes. People stumbled over words, mispronounced phrases, or forgot grammar rules, but no one laughed or judged. Instead, they listened, asked questions, and encouraged each other. Conversation, she realized, was a collaborative experience, not a performance. After the session, Sarah approached Emma again. "You did really well today. How did it feel to speak up?" Emma thought for a moment. "Nervous, but also exciting. I feel like I learned more today than in months of studying alone." "That's exactly it," Sarah said with a smile. "Speaking is practice. Each time you try, it gets easier." Walking home, Emma reflected on the lesson of the book club. Confidence didn't mean never feeling nervous. It meant speaking anyway. She realized that each real conversation built not only fluency but also courage. Each interaction was an experiment, a chance to try, fail, learn, and improve. That evening, Emma wrote down a plan for the week: 2 more conversations in English, each slightly more challenging than the last. She wanted to push her comfort zone, just a little, every day. Emma's journey was no longer about learning English in isolation. It was about living it, speaking it, and connecting with others through it. The path ahead promised challenges, yes, but also growth, fun, and the thrill of discovering that real communication was within her reach. A week after her first cafe and book club experiences, Emma decided it was time to tackle a more challenging scenario: ordering a full meal at an English-speaking restaurant. She had practiced ordering coffee and small talk, but a restaurant meant multiple interactions: taking the order, asking about dishes, handling questions, and perhaps even chatting with fellow diners. It was intimidating, but Emma felt ready to push her limits. She entered a cozy bistro with dim lighting and soft background music. The hostess greeted her cheerfully. "Good evening. Table for one?" Emma smiled, trying to keep her nerves in check. "Yes, table for one, please." The hostess led her to a corner table. Emma sat down, heart racing, and glanced over the menu. As she read the descriptions, she realized she might need to ask the waiter some questions. Her hands felt clammy, and she imagined all the ways she could make a mistake. But she reminded herself, clarity is better than perfection. Asking questions is a sign of confidence, not weakness. When the waiter approached, Emma greeted him politely. "Hi. I have a question about the menu. What do you recommend for someone who likes mild flavors?" The waiter smiled, clearly appreciating her effort. "I'd suggest the grilled chicken with roasted vegetables. It's flavorful but not spicy." Emma nodded. "Okay. I'll try that, please. And could I also have a glass of water?" "Of course. Anything else?" Emma hesitated. She wanted dessert, but the unfamiliar vocabulary made her nervous. "Maybe the chocolate cake. Is it sweet?" she asked cautiously. "Very sweet, but delicious," the waiter replied with a wink. Emma laughed softly. She realized that humor and friendliness could ease tension in real conversations. By the time the order was placed, she felt a small surge of pride. She had asked questions, clarified doubts, and successfully communicated her preferences, all in English. While waiting for her meal, Emma observed other diners chatting easily, and she realized something profound: everyone had once been a beginner. Just like her, they had learned through experience, not textbooks. Conversation was a skill honed over time, with patience and practice. When the food arrived, Emma tried to engage in small talk with the waiter. "Thank you, the food looks amazing. Do you cook here?" "Yes, I do," he said. "It's a family recipe I learned from my grandmother." Emma smiled. "Wow, that's impressive. I love family recipes. They feel special." The conversation was short, but it flowed naturally. Emma noticed a pattern: by showing interest, asking questions, and responding with genuine curiosity, she could make conversations smoother and more enjoyable. By the end of the evening, Emma had navigated multiple small interactions: ordering, asking questions, commenting on the food, and thanking the staff. Each exchange reinforced her belief that real conversations were opportunities, not exams. She left the restaurant feeling energized, realizing that her confidence had grown simply by taking action. On the way home, she reflected on the experience. Real-life conversations required courage, patience, and a willingness to make mistakes, but they also offered immediate feedback and tangible progress. Emma understood that each step forward, no matter how small, was meaningful. Before going to bed, she made a note in her journal. "Today I spoke English in a real, practical setting. I made mistakes, but I survived and thrived. I will do it again." This restaurant experience taught her a critical lesson: practical application strengthens language skills far more effectively than solitary study. Emma realized that confidence was built through repeated practice in authentic situations, not from memorizing grammar rules alone. As she drifted off to sleep, Emma felt a sense of quiet satisfaction. Each conversation, no matter how brief or simple, was a building block toward fluency, and more importantly, toward the confidence to engage in the world in English. The weekend arrived, and Emma decided it was time for another step, practicing English with strangers in public. She chose a nearby park, where people strolled, jogged, and relaxed on benches. Her goal was simple but intimidating: strike up a conversation with someone she didn't know. As she walked along the tree-lined path, Emma spotted an elderly man sitting on a bench, reading a newspaper. She remembered a tip from a language coach: start with small, situational comments or questions. Taking a deep breath, she approached him. "Excuse me, is this the way to the botanical garden?" she asked, pointing toward a path lined with flowering shrubs. The man looked up and smiled warmly. "Yes, just keep following this path for about 10 minutes. You'll see the entrance on your left." Emma nodded. "Thank you very much." He chuckled softly. "You speak English very well." Emma felt a flush of pride but tried to remain humble. "Thank you. I'm still learning. I practice a lot." "That's the right way to do it," the man said. "The more you speak, the better you'll get. Keep going." Their brief exchange left Emma buzzing with energy. A simple question, a polite conversation, and genuine feedback, it felt empowering. She realized that most people were kind and willing to help, even if her English wasn't perfect. Encouraged by this success, Emma continued her walk. She noticed a young woman sitting on a park bench, sketching flowers. Emma decided to try again. "Hi, that's a beautiful drawing. Do you do this often?" The woman looked up, pleasantly surprised. "Oh, thank you. Yes, I try to draw here every weekend. It's relaxing." Emma smiled. "I wish I could draw like that. I only try to write sometimes." The woman laughed. "Writing is wonderful too. Practice makes perfect." Emma realized that showing genuine interest and asking questions made conversations flow naturally. People responded positively when they sensed curiosity and sincerity. Each interaction, no matter how small, was a step forward. By the end of the day, Emma had spoken to several strangers, some for directions, some about their hobbies, and some about the park itself. Each exchange was brief, but together they formed a mosaic of practical learning. She noticed patterns in speech, common phrases, and expressions she could use in future conversations. Walking home, Emma reflected on the lesson of the day. Speaking English to strangers was less about flawless language and more about connection, curiosity, and courage. Every small interaction reinforced her confidence, showing her that fear was often the biggest barrier. That evening, she added another note to her journal. "Today I spoke English to strangers. I made mistakes, but I connected with people. Speaking is not scary when I focus on curiosity, not perfection." Emma understood that real-life conversations weren't about showing off knowledge. They were about engaging with others, listening, responding, and learning as she went. With every question she asked and every small chat she had, her confidence grew. This day in the park reminded Emma of something essential. English fluency wasn't just about words. It was about courage, openness, and human connection. A few weeks later, Emma received an invitation to a small professional workshop hosted in English. The topic was related to her field, digital marketing, and it promised a mix of presentations, discussions, and networking sessions. Emma felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Speaking English in casual settings like cafes or parks was one thing, but a professional environment would require more precise language, confidence, and composure. She prepared meticulously. Emma reviewed key vocabulary, practiced introducing herself, and even rehearsed a few questions she could ask during the networking session. Despite all this preparation, the butterflies in her stomach were undeniable as she walked into the conference room. The room buzzed with conversation. Participants exchanged business cards, discussed projects, and laughed at small jokes. Emma felt slightly overwhelmed, observing the fluency and ease with which others spoke English. But she reminded herself of a vital lesson: everyone starts somewhere, and comparison is counterproductive. Her focus was on participation, not perfection. When a small group gathered near a presentation table, Emma took a deep breath and approached them. "Hi. I'm Emma. I work in digital marketing. Nice to meet you." A man nodded warmly. "Hi Emma, I'm James. I work in social media analytics. What kind of marketing projects do you focus on?" Emma felt her pulse quicken. This was exactly the type of question she had anticipated. Slowly and clearly she began. "I mostly manage online campaigns for small businesses, helping them reach local customers. It's challenging but exciting." James nodded, showing interest. "That sounds interesting. Have you tried influencer marketing?" Emma had some experience with influencers but wasn't sure how to describe it fluently. She took a moment to gather her words. "Yes, sometimes we collaborate with local influencers to promote products. It increases engagement and visibility." The conversation flowed, and Emma realized something essential: pauses are okay. Taking a moment to think before speaking did not make her appear less competent. It actually helped her communicate more clearly. As the workshop progressed, Emma participated in group discussions, asking questions and sharing opinions. At first, she stumbled over a few words, but the more she spoke, the easier it became. She noticed that confidence grew with repeated attempts and that small successes encouraged bigger steps. During a networking break, another participant, a woman named Clara, approached her. "Emma, I enjoyed your comments in the session. How long have you been speaking English?" Emma smiled. "Not very long, actually. I try to practice every day, in cafes, parks, and with friends. It's sometimes scary, but I'm learning." Clara nodded appreciatively. "That's inspiring. I think many people hesitate because of fear. You're brave to practice like this." Emma felt a wave of pride. Her courage to step into a professional English-speaking environment, despite initial nerves, had not only improved her fluency but also earned respect from others. Walking home from the workshop, Emma reflected on her day. She realized that professional conversations demanded clarity, preparation, and active listening, but the underlying principle remained the same: communication is about connection, not perfection. Her journal entry that night captured her thoughts perfectly. "Today I spoke English in a professional setting. I made mistakes, but I engaged meaningfully. Confidence is not about knowing everything, it's about participating and learning." Emma understood that each context, casual cafe, park, book club, or professional workshop, required adjustments in vocabulary, tone, and style. But the core skills of courage, curiosity, and genuine engagement remained constant. With each experience, her confidence and fluency grew steadily, one conversation at a time. A few months into her journey, Emma had built enough confidence to take a bold step, traveling alone to an English-speaking country. She chose London, eager to immerse herself in a culture where English was spoken everywhere, from street signs to conversations in cafes, museums, and shops. The moment she stepped off the plane, a mixture of excitement and nerves surged through her. Every interaction, from passing through customs to asking for a taxi, would be in English. Emma reminded herself of the lessons she had learned so far: take one step at a time, speak clearly, and don't fear mistakes. Her first challenge came quickly. At a bustling train station, she needed to buy a ticket to the city center. The ticket machine had multiple options, all in English. Emma hesitated for a moment, heart racing. Then she remembered a strategy: observe, plan, and ask for help when needed. She approached a station attendant. "Excuse me. I need a train ticket to Central London, please." The attendant smiled. "Sure. One way or return?" "One way, please," Emma replied, carefully repeating the words. "That'll be £4.50, the attendant said. Emma handed over the money. "Thank you very much." "That's fine. Enjoy your trip." A small exchange, yet Emma felt victorious. It was her first solo, functional conversation abroad. She realized that practical English, asking, clarifying, paying, thanking, was the backbone of real-life communication. Later, in a small cafe near her hotel, Emma faced another challenge, ordering breakfast in a crowded space. She approached the counter, took a deep breath, and began. "Hi. I'd like a pancake with maple syrup, please. And a cappuccino." The barista responded quickly. "Do you want any fruits on your pancake?" Emma hesitated. She had never ordered like this before. Then she remembered, it's okay to ask for repetition or clarification. "Sorry, could you repeat that?" The barista smiled. "Sure. Do you want any fruits with your pancake?" Emma nodded. "Yes, strawberries, please." The barista prepared her order while chatting briefly about the cafe's specialties. By the time Emma received her breakfast, she had spoken several sentences, asked for clarification, and understood instructions, all without panic. The day continued with sightseeing, where she interacted with locals for directions, ticket purchases, and casual chats. Emma noticed a pattern. People were patient and helpful when she made an effort, and even simple phrases like, "Could you help me?" or "Thank you very much," carried weight. One memorable moment occurred in a small bookshop. Emma wanted to buy a novel she had read about online. The shop assistant asked, "Are you looking for the latest edition?" Emma hesitated, unsure how to respond fluently. Then she said, "Yes, the latest one. I read about it online, and I really want to buy it." The assistant smiled warmly. "You'll enjoy it. English readers often recommend it." This brief conversation taught Emma an important lesson. Honesty and clarity are often more effective than trying to sound perfect. People responded to her effort, not to flawless grammar. By the end of her first day in London, Emma reflected on how far she had come. From hesitant cafe conversations at home to navigating an entire foreign city in English, she realized that confidence grew through action, not study alone. Her journal entry captured the day perfectly. "Today I spoke English all day in a real, unfamiliar environment. Mistakes happened, but they didn't matter. Each conversation brought learning, independence, and confidence." Emma knew that travel would continue to challenge her, but she welcomed it. Every new situation was another opportunity to practice, improve, and gain fluency. By stepping out of her comfort zone completely, she discovered a deeper truth. English confidence is born from courage, curiosity, and the willingness to communicate despite fear. Emma's second day in London brought an unexpected test of her English skills. She was heading to a nearby town for a day trip when she encountered a challenge she hadn't anticipated: a misunderstanding at the train station. After purchasing her ticket, Emma realized she had misread the departure time. She rushed to the platform, only to find a station employee looking at her curiously. "Excuse me. I think I'm on the wrong train," she said, her voice slightly panicked. The employee raised an eyebrow. "Which train are you trying to catch?" Emma stammered for a moment. "I want the train to Cambridge, but I'm not sure if this is the right one." The employee smiled patiently. You're looking for platform 3. This train goes to another city. You need to wait 20 minutes, and then the next train will take you to Cambridge." Emma felt a rush of relief, but also realized how important it was to communicate clearly under stress. Her sentences had been slow and fragmented, yet her effort was understood. She thanked the employee profusely and waited, reflecting on what had just happened. Later, on the correct train, she tried a casual conversation with a fellow passenger to practice her English. "Hi, is this your first time in Cambridge?" she asked, nervously adjusting her bag. The passenger smiled. "No, I live nearby." "What about you?" Emma explained her trip, including her earlier mistake at the station. The passenger laughed gently. "Don't worry. Everyone makes mistakes when traveling. You're doing great." This small interaction reminded Emma of a vital lesson. Mistakes and misunderstandings are natural, and often make conversations more human and memorable. Even in challenging situations, speaking up and asking for clarification led to successful communication. That afternoon, Emma explored Cambridge, speaking to locals in cafes, bookstores, and on the streets. She realized she had developed a kind of mental flexibility, the ability to adapt her sentences, rephrase, and ask for help when needed. Misunderstandings no longer felt intimidating. They were opportunities to improve. By the time she returned to London, Emma was exhilarated. The day had tested her skills under pressure, but she had navigated it successfully, gaining confidence in her ability to handle unpredictable situations. That night she wrote in her journal, "Today I faced a real challenge in English. I made mistakes, asked for help, and solved the problem. Communication is not about being perfect, it's about making yourself understood, learning, and staying calm." Emma's journey had reached a new level. She was no longer just practicing English in controlled settings. She was thriving in real-world scenarios, where unpredictability demanded quick thinking, adaptability, and courage. Through these experiences, Emma discovered that confidence is built not by avoiding mistakes but by engaging fully, even when mistakes are inevitable. Each challenge was a step forward, each small victory reinforcing her belief that she could speak English fluently, naturally, and confidently. Emma's journey had been filled with small victories: cafe chats, park conversations, book club discussions, and professional workshops. Each step had built her confidence, but she still felt that elusive sense of hesitation linger whenever she faced longer or more complex interactions. That changed during her final week in London. She had signed up for a small group tour to explore historic landmarks. The tour guide spoke English exclusively, and the group included travelers from various countries. Emma felt a familiar flutter of nerves as she introduced herself to the group. "Hi, I'm Emma, from Ukraine." The group welcomed her warmly. From the start, she noticed the difference. Instead of worrying about perfect grammar, she focused on connecting, listening, and participating. She asked questions about the sites, shared her own experiences, and engaged with others' stories. At one point, the guide asked, "Does anyone want to share an interesting cultural experience from their country?" Emma paused briefly, thinking. Then she spoke confidently. "In my country, we have a tradition called Kapala Night. It's celebrated in summer with bonfires, songs, and dances. People jump over fires for luck. It's very fun and everyone joins together." The group listened attentively, asking questions. "Wow, that sounds amazing. How long has this tradition existed?" Emma responded naturally, elaborating on the history, the folklore, and her personal experiences growing up with the celebration. For the first time, she felt a flow in her English, where words came easily, sentences connected, and she could express herself fully without overthinking. Later, during lunch with the group, Emma found herself in multiple conversations simultaneously. She joked with one traveler about the quirks of London food, shared travel tips with another, and even gave directions to a fellow participant who had gotten lost. She realized something profound. Real confidence emerges when you stop focusing on yourself and focus on the conversation. By the end of the day, Emma felt an unprecedented sense of accomplishment. She had not only navigated multiple interactions but had done so fluently, comfortably, and confidently. It was a breakthrough moment, a culmination of months of practice, small risks, and incremental challenges. That night, reflecting in her journal, she wrote, "Today I spoke English with full confidence. I laughed, explained, answered questions, and even helped others. I didn't worry about mistakes, they didn't matter. Confidence comes from action, persistence, and the willingness to engage." Emma understood that her journey was ongoing. She still had areas to improve: advanced vocabulary, idiomatic expressions, and subtle nuances of English humor. But she had learned the most important lesson: confidence is not about knowing everything, it's about being willing to communicate, adapt, and keep learning. Her breakthrough was not a single conversation, it was the accumulation of every cafe order, park chat, book club discussion, and professional meeting. Each experience had strengthened her skills, reduced her fear, and transformed her mindset. Emma felt a sense of gratitude for the journey. She realized that learning English was no longer a solitary challenge, but a living, breathing experience, intertwined with human connection, curiosity, and the courage to try. The next day, as she prepared to return home, Emma felt ready, not just to continue learning English, but to speak it confidently in any situation. The world of real conversations was no longer intimidating. It was a space where she could thrive. Emma's journey over the past months had been transformative. From nervous cafe orders to confident conversations in a foreign city, she had grown not just in her English skills, but in self-assurance, resilience, and curiosity. Now, as she prepared to return home, she reflected on the lessons she had learned, lessons that can guide anyone seeking to boost their confidence in real English conversations. 1. Start small, start real. Every journey begins with small steps. Emma's first cafe order and book club participation may have seemed minor, but they laid the foundation for her growth. Real conversations, even brief ones, provide practical experience that no textbook or app can replicate. 2. Mistakes are not failures. Emma stumbled over words, mispronounced phrases, and faced misunderstandings, but she learned that mistakes are a natural part of learning. They are opportunities to clarify, adapt, and grow. Each misstep strengthened her confidence and taught her resilience. 3. Listening is as important as speaking. Emma discovered that true communication isn't just about producing words. It's about listening actively, observing cues, and responding thoughtfully. Conversations flourish when both parties feel heard and understood. 4. Preparation helps, but action matters more. Before professional workshops or her trip abroad, Emma prepared vocabulary, questions, and phrases. But the real breakthroughs came when she stepped into situations, despite fear, and used English in authentic ways. Preparation supports confidence, but courage activates it. 5. Connection over perfection. Emma realized that English is a tool for connection, not a performance. Whether chatting with a stranger in the park or explaining a tradition to a tour group, the focus was on engaging, sharing, and understanding, not on flawless grammar. Confidence grows when the goal shifts from perfection to communication. 6. Each conversation is a step forward. From cafes to airports, from book clubs to professional workshops, Emma built her skills incrementally. Confidence in English is not instant, it accumulates through repeated, real-life practice. Each interaction, no matter how small, contributes to progress. 7. Adapt and stay curious. Emma learned to adapt her language, ask for clarification, and embrace cultural differences. Curiosity about people, culture, and situations transformed nervous encounters into enjoyable learning experiences. 8. Confidence comes from action, not knowledge alone. Finally, Emma understood the essence of her journey. Knowing English rules is helpful, but using them in real conversations builds true confidence. Speaking, listening, connecting, and learning from experience are the keys to fluency. As Emma boarded her flight home, she felt a sense of accomplishment and excitement. She knew the journey wasn't over. English would continue to evolve in her life, but she had gained something invaluable: the courage to engage, the confidence to speak, and the mindset to keep growing. For anyone reading Emma's story, the message is clear: real conversations in English are the path to fluency. Start small, embrace mistakes, focus on connection, and take one conversation at a time. Your confidence will grow with each word you speak, each question you ask, and each interaction you pursue. So take that first step: walk into the cafe, join the book club, ask a stranger for directions, or start a conversation at your workplace. Speak, listen, and connect. Like Emma, you will discover that English is not just a language, it's a bridge to people, experiences, and the world. The journey begins with your first word. Don't wait for perfect fluency. Start today, and watch your confidence soar.